Sri Lanka's Prevention of Terrorism Act, or PTA, was passed in Parliament in 1979 as a temporary provisions act, and it is currently in use in the country. It has come under renewed fire in recent months, with concerns raised by the United Nations Human Rights Council and human rights groups over some of the provisions it contained. They highlighted potential abuses and inconsistencies with international legal frameworks as their main allegations. In response to these criticisms, the Sri Lankan government in March 2023 published a new anti-terrorism bill as a potential remedy. However, multiple factions pointed out that under the guise of preventing terrorism, the new draft bill aims to violate the people's rights to information and expression. The draft bill's expansive definition of terrorism throws open the door for authorities to target anyone involved in peaceful protests, while also empowering police to detain suspects under the detention orders before court appearances. Upon considering other provisions of the draft bill, there are serious concerns over those that pave the way to institute terrorism charges even against the media. Faced with public outcry, the Sri Lankan government conceded to revise the bill, issuing a new gazette on the 15th of September 2023. This new bill was presented to Parliament by the Justice Minister today.
පවතින නීතියත් එක්ක මම කියන්නේ පාපොච්චාරණය මත චූදිතයන් වර්ධකරුවන් කිරීමේ හැකියාව.
The provision of making an accused guilty based on confession alone has been removed from this bill and has been revised so that the normal evidence law will be applied. Secondly, as per the existing laws, the Defence Minister has the power to issue detention orders. It can be extended to a period of 3 months. The previous draft bill proposed for this power to be transferred to the DIGs. Upon considering the criticism that mounted, we have decided to move that power to an independent official, and that power will be given to the Defence Secretary. If he is satisfied on the facts presented by the IGP, a 1-month detention order can be issued. If it needs to be extended, it should be subject to approval from the magistrate. Thereby, the entire judicial process will be followed. Even when a detention order is given, the magistrate must be notified about it. In addition, the Human Rights Commission is given the power to observe and monitor these individuals. Third was the lack of definition on terrorism. Therefore, what is terrorism? There was no internationally accepted definition for terrorism. The UK, India and US have their own definitions. However, our definition is somewhat similar to the UK definition, but it is not as serious. The UK counter-terrorism legislation designates any member of any organised criminal gang as a terrorist. We have not included such provisions.
අපරාධයක් ත්‍රස්තවාදී අපරාධයක් විදිහට ඒකේ සලකන්න පුළුවන්. අපි ඒ කොටස අරගෙන නැහැ. අනිත් කොටස් මේකේ ඇතුළත් වෙලා තියෙනවා.
ஏற்கனவே இருந்த பயங்கரவாத தடை சட்டமும் இப்பொழுது இருக்கின்ற பயங்கரவாத எதிர்ப்பு சட்டமும்.
The existing Prevention of Terrorism Act and the proposed Anti-Terrorism Act contradict each other. The framework may have changed, but the context directly impacts the innocent people of the country. The people are not satisfied with this legislation. You are trying to introduce a plan that would deactivate the democratic struggles.
நீங்கள் கொண்டு வந்ததும்
ත්‍රස්තවාදයේ වැළැක්වීම සඳහා නීතියක් නැති රටක් කියන්නකො ඔබතුමා. කියන්නකො එක රටක් ඉන්දියාවේ නැද්ද?
பயங்கரவாத தடை சட்டம்.
Every country has an anti-terror legislation. However, the PTA has brutally impacted the Tamil community in Sri Lanka. Anti-terrorism legislation in other countries does not inconvenience the public.
அந்த அழிப்பு நடக்கவில்லையே.
ප්‍රභාකරන් දොරයප්පා හින්දු කෝවිල ඇතුළේ මැරුවේ මේ
Prabhakaran killed Durayappa inside a Hindu temple and hundreds of other Tamil leaders. People like Lakshman Kadragamar, who could have led this country, as well as those who could have been made Prime Minister, were killed. Who killed Lakshman Kadragamar? Who killed Amirthalingam? Who killed Neelanda Selva? Who bombed the Temple of the Truth? Who killed the Hajj pilgrims in Kathankudi? The rest is up to you.
ආත්තංකුඩියේ මුස්ලිම් මිනිස්සු මරපු ඔක්කොම තමුන්නාන්සේ අනුමතයි. ඒව ඔක්කොම අනුමතයි.
பாராளுமன்றத்திலே 22 பாராளுமன்ற உறுப்பினர்.
During Prabhakaran's time, 22 MPs represented Parliament. When Selva was engaged in a non-violent struggle, who sent thugs to attack? When 154 Tamil farmers were killed, the police looked on. What weapons did those farmers possess? Prisoners were killed inside the Valikata prison. Kuttamani's eyes were gouged out. Were these done with the PTA? How many others were killed in the same way? The Jaffna library was set on fire. Were you asleep when these crimes were taking place? Do not force the future generations to use arms. You speak of a list of what happened in the past. You all killed thousands. What happened to those who surrendered?
எத்தனை படுகொலை அதை சொல்லுங்கள் தயவு செய்து.
බාර වුණා 12800 ගාණක්. ඒ සියලුම සංඛ්‍යාව
Around 12,800 surrendered. All of them were rehabilitated and reintegrated into society. They are now living well. He asked if I was asleep when incidents took place in the 1950s. I do not know what happened during that time, as I was not even born. We know of these things better than you do.
දේවල් අපි දන්නවා ඔබතුමාට වැඩිය හොඳින්.
ඒතර ආණ්ඩුවට මොකක් හරි කරන්න කිව්වත් ත්‍රස්තවාදී කරන්න එපා.
This government will term anything as terrorism. That would also include media institutions and journalists who hold views against the government. In recent years, a poet was held under the PTA. The IUSF convener was branded a terrorist and held under this act. This political culture is not being used to crack down on terrorism. Instead, it is being used to crack down on dissent. That is the issue.
නෙමෙයි. ඇත්තටම මේක පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ විරුද්ධ මතධර්ම දේශපාලන අදහස් දරන අය මර්ධනය කරන්න. එතනයි ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ.